You know what separates the person you are right now from the person you want to become? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even time. It's discipline. And here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one small choice at a time. But here's the good news. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. or run a marathon tomorrow. What you need is just 10 minutes. 10 minutes. A day to rewire your brain, to rebuild your relationship with discipline, and to become the person who doesn't just set goals, but actually achieves them. Let me ask you something. How many times have you started strong? You set a goal, you felt motivated, you were ready to change everything. Maybe it was a New Year's resolution. Maybe it was a Monday morning promise to yourself. And for a day or two, maybe even a week, you were unstoppable. But then what happened? Life got busy, you got tired. That motivation you felt, it faded. And slowly, quietly, you slipped back into your old patterns. Not because you're weak, not because you lack willpower, but because you were relying on motivation, and motivation is like a wave. It comes and it goes. Discipline is different. Discipline is the steady current beneath the waves. It's what carries you forward when the excitement wears off, when things get hard, when nobody's watching. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it's a skill. It's a muscle. And just like any muscle, you can train it. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to go from 0 to 100 overnight. They create these massive routines that require an hour or two every single day. And when they can't sustain it, they give up entirely. They think discipline is all or nothing. That's not how your brain works. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. It means your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on what you do repeatedly. Every action you take, every thought you think, it's carving neural pathways in your brain. The more you repeat something, the stronger those pathways become, until eventually, that behavior becomes automatic. This is why bad habits feel so easy and good habits feel so hard at first. Your brain has spent years building highways for your bad habits. Those neural pathways are wide and smooth. But the pathways for your new habits, they're barely dirt roads. They require conscious effort to travel down. But here's the incredible part. You can build new highways. You can rewire your brain. And you don't need massive amounts of time to do it. You just need consistency. You need repetition. You need to show up, even when it's just for 10 minutes, because 10 minutes is enough to activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-control and decision-making. 10 minutes is enough to release dopamine and create positive reinforcement. 10 minutes is enough to prove to yourself that you're the kind of person who follows through. So what is this 10-minute habit? It's deceptively simple. Every single day, at the same time, you're going to do something that requires discipline. Something that your brain resists. Something that's good for you but doesn't feel easy in the moment. This could be 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of working on that project you keep putting off, 10 minutes of learning a new skill. The specific activity doesn't matter as much as the principle behind it. You're training your brain to do hard things. You're proving to yourself that you can override your immediate desires for your long-term goals. You're building that discipline muscle, one small rep at a time. Here's the critical part. It has to be the same time every day, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient. At the same time, every single day. Why? Because you're creating a cue, a trigger that tells your brain, this is when we do the hard thing. Maybe it's right after you brush your teeth in the morning. Maybe it's during your lunch break. Maybe it's before bed. The timing doesn't matter. The consistency does. You're building a ritual, and rituals are powerful because they remove decision fatigue. You don't have to decide whether to do it. You just do it because that's what you do at this time. Now you might be thinking, 10 minutes? That's nothing. How is that going to change my life? And that's exactly the point. 10 minutes feels achievable. Your brain doesn't resist it the way it resists a 2-hour commitment. There's no excuse you can make that sounds legitimate when it's only 10 minutes. Too busy? Everyone has 10 minutes. Too tired? It's only 10 minutes. Not motivated? You don't need motivation for 10 minutes. You just need to show up. And here's what happens. On day 1, 10 minutes might feel like nothing. You might finish and think, that's it. But you showed up. You did what you said you would do. That's a small victory, and your brain notices small victories. On day 7, something shifts. It's not massive, but you feel it. You've done this 7 days in a row. You're building momentum. You're proving to yourself that you're reliable. By day 30, it's part of who you are. It's not something you have to force anymore. It's just what you do. And here's the beautiful part. You'll probably find yourself naturally extending past 10 minutes. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because you've built the discipline to start. And starting was always the hardest part. But even if you stick to just 10 minutes, you've done something profound. You've rewired your brain. You've proven that discipline isn't about massive transformations. It's about small, consistent actions. It's about showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Here's what they don't tell you about discipline. It spreads. When you build discipline in one area of your life, it starts seeping into other areas. It's like a ripple effect. You start with 10 minutes of reading every morning, and suddenly you notice you're making better food choices. Why? Because you've proven to yourself that you can delay gratification. You've shown yourself that you're the kind of person who makes good decisions. You commit to 10 minutes of exercise every day, and suddenly your workspace is cleaner. Why? Because discipline in one area creates discipline in others. Your brain starts to identify you as someone who does hard things, someone who follows through, and people notice. They might not know exactly what's different about you, but they feel it. There's something more solid about you, more dependable, more powerful. Because discipline creates confidence, and confidence is magnetic. But more importantly, you notice. You look at yourself differently. You trust yourself more. Because every day, you're keeping a promise to yourself. And when you keep promises to yourself, you build self-respect. You build self-trust. You become someone you're proud to be. Now let's be real. There are going to be days when you don't want to do this. There are going to be mornings when you wake up and your brain immediately starts making excuses. You're tired. You deserve a break. You can skip today and do twice as much tomorrow. This is the moment that matters. This is the moment where discipline is built or broken. Because here's the truth. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. And discipline is built specifically in these moments when you don't feel like it. When you show up on the hard days, you're sending a powerful message to your brain. You're saying, we don't operate based on feelings. We operate based on commitments, and your brain learns. It adapts. It stops fighting you as much because it realizes resistance is futile. Think of it like this. Every time you override your immediate desire to stay in bed, to scroll through your phone, to do the easy thing instead of the right thing, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. And you become the person who gets the most votes. So when that voice in your head says, not today, that's when you need to show up the most. Not for the full workout if you planned one. Not for the full chapter if you don't have time. But for those 10 minutes. Always for those 10 minutes. Because consistency matters more than intensity. Let me give you a practical framework to make this work. First, choose your 10-minute habit right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. What's one thing you know would make your life better if you did it consistently? Choose something that genuinely challenges you but isn't so overwhelming that you'll quit. Second, decide on your exact trigger. After I existing habit, I will new habit for 10 minutes. Be specific. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read for 10 minutes. After I get home from work, I will do 10 minutes of stretching. Specificity eliminates ambiguity. And ambiguity is the enemy of action. Third, prepare your environment. Make it as easy as possible to do your habit and as hard as possible to skip it. If your habit is reading, put the book on your pillow. If it's exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Remove friction from the good behavior and add friction to the alternative. Fourth, track it. Get a calendar and put a big X on every day you complete your 10 minutes. This visual representation of your commitment is powerful. You'll start to see a chain of X's, and you won't want to break that chain. Jerry Seinfeld calls this, "Don't break the chain," and it's incredibly effective. Fifth, and this is crucial, don't negotiate with yourself. Don't debate whether you'll do it. Don't evaluate whether you feel like it. When the time comes, you just do it. No discussion. This is non-negotiable. This is who you are now. Here's something powerful that happens when you commit to this 10-minute habit. You stop being someone who wants to be disciplined and start being someone who is disciplined. This might sound like semantics, but it's everything. Most people tie their identity to their results. I want to be a writer, so I'll write when I have a big idea. I want to be fit, so I'll exercise when I feel motivated. But that's backwards. Your identity should drive your actions, not the other way around. When you show up for 10 minutes every single day, you're not trying to become disciplined. You are disciplined. You're not hoping to become reliable. You are reliable. The action comes first, and the identity follows. And once that identity shifts, everything changes. Because now you're not forcing yourself to do hard things. You're just being who you are. Disciplined people don't need to convince themselves to show up. They show up because that's what disciplined people do. This is the ultimate rewiring. You're not just changing your behavior. You're changing your fundamental sense of self. You're becoming someone who trusts themselves, who follows through, who does what they say they're going to do. And the most beautiful part, this version of you doesn't require constant motivation. This version of you doesn't need perfect conditions. This version of you just shows up day after day, building something remarkable through small, consistent actions. Let's talk about what happens over time. Because 10 minutes a day might not sound like much, but let's do the math. 10 minutes a day is 70 minutes a week. That's over 60 hours a year. 60 hours dedicated to building discipline, to doing something that matters, to becoming better. But it's not just about the time. It's about the compound effect. Every day you show up, you're strengthening that neural pathway. You're making discipline easier. You're reducing the activation energy required to do hard things. In 6 months, you'll look back and barely recognize the person you were. Not because of any single day, but because of the accumulation of all those days. All those small choices. All those moments when you could have given up but didn't. In a year, that 10-minute habit might have expanded into 30 minutes or an hour, not because you forced it, but because you built the foundation. You created the discipline infrastructure that makes everything else possible. And here's what most people don't realize. The habit itself isn't even the point. Reading for 10 minutes is nice, but that's not what changes your life. What changes your life is becoming the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do. That's the real transformation, because once you've proven to yourself that you can commit to something for 10 minutes every day, you realize you can commit to anything. That business you want to start, those relationships you want to improve, that skill you want to master, they all become possible because you've built the discipline to show up. Now let's talk about perfectionism, because it's probably going to show up. You're going to have a day where you miss your 10 minutes. Maybe you're sick. Maybe there's an emergency. Maybe you simply forget. And your brain is going to want to turn that one missed day into a reason to quit entirely. You already broke the streak. You're not disciplined. Why bother starting again? This is the perfectionism trap, and it kills more goals than laziness ever could. Here's what you need to understand. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about resilience. It's about what you do after you fall down. Anyone can show up when things are easy. Disciplined people show up even after they've stumbled. If you miss a day, don't waste energy feeling guilty. Don't spiral into self-criticism. Just acknowledge it and show up the next day. That's it. The power isn't in never failing. The power is in never quitting. In fact, how you respond to missing a day is more important than the missed day itself. Do you give up? Or do you prove that one setback doesn't define you? Do you let the mistake multiply? Or do you contain it and move forward? This is where real discipline is forged. Not in the easy days, but in your response to the hard ones. Not in perfection, but in persistence. I want you to zoom out for a moment and see the bigger picture. This isn't really about 10 minutes. This isn't even really about discipline. This is about reclaiming your life. This is about taking control of the one thing you can always control, your actions. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control other people. You can't control the economy, the weather, or whether opportunities come your way. But you can control whether you show up for 10 minutes today. And when you stack enough of those controlled moments together, you build something unshakable. You build a life that's directed by your choices, not your circumstances. You build a version of yourself that doesn't crumble when things get hard, because you've been practicing doing hard things every single day. This 10-minute habit is training wheels for the life you want. It's proof that you can be trusted with bigger challenges. It's evidence that you're capable of change. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. And the crazy thing? You already have everything you need to start. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to wait for the right moment. You don't need permission. You just need to decide right now that you're someone who shows up. So here's what I want you to do. Before this video ends, before you move on to the next thing, make a decision. Choose your 10-minute habit. Choose your trigger. Choose your start time. Don't overthink it. Don't wait until you have the perfect plan. Because perfect plans don't create discipline. Imperfect action creates discipline. Tomorrow morning or tonight, or whenever your trigger time is, show up. For just 10 minutes. Don't worry about whether it feels significant. Don't evaluate whether it's working. Just do it. And then do it again the next day. And the day after that. For 30 days, commit to this one simple practice. 10 minutes. Same time. Every single day. I promise you, if you do this, something will shift. You might not notice it on day 1 or day 5. But by day 30, you'll feel different. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll trust yourself more. Because you'll have 30 pieces of evidence that you're someone who follows through. And from that foundation, anything becomes possible. That book you want to write? It starts with 10 minutes. That body you want to build? It starts with 10 minutes. That business you want to launch? It starts with 10 minutes. Everything you want is on the other side of consistent discipline. And consistent discipline starts with one small habit. Practice daily. You're not going to change your entire life today. But you can change the next 10 minutes. And then the 10 minutes after that. And slowly, 10 minutes at a time, you become someone completely different. Someone disciplined. Someone reliable. Someone who doesn't just dream about the future, but actively builds it. One small action at a time. The person you want to become is waiting for you to show up. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Today. for just 10 minutes. So close this video and go prove to yourself what you're capable of. Your future self will thank you for starting today.